Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there. Welcome back.
Welcome back, guys. I hope everybody is having a great day. We couldn't do it without you guys and your support over on Patreon. We want to thank our newest patron.
Yes, we want to say a huge thank you to Miss Kimberly. Kimberly, thank you so much for your support. It helps a lot.
Absolutely. And you are also... everybody is just welcome to come over to Patreon. There is a notification setting where you could be notified when things come up and make your decision if you want to go ahead and become a patron and support us in that endeavor as well. But we are up on YouTube with Evolutionary Energy Arts. The original channel, EEARTS, was the backup channel, became the primary channel. Now we kind of alternate back and forth. And OZONE, which is the spiritual side, which has playlists for those that are delving deep into the spiritual side of things in a non-dogmatic way. I don't think there's any dogma when it comes to the Schumann resonance. It's just simply an indicator that things are changing.
Yes, it's something that just is.
Absolutely, and thank you guys for letting us know the Schumann was off the charts, and it is. And this is representing the mass consciousness and the frequency of the planet. And the frequency of the planet is ascending. We are ascending. And again, maybe not everybody at the same rate. And certainly when we talk about the control system, they might end up having to stay behind and repeat a grade, if you know what I mean.
Well, they don't seem to mind. They keep going back. So
they are absolutely in a Groundhog's Day. So yes, absolutely. This is a big one. We are picking up on the changes that are coming. I think a lot of people are picking up on it. I think right now with a lot of people, there are those that are awakening that there's something really, really off here, and they're feeling maybe for the first time like, hey, things are not going to go back to the old normal. I think there's a lot of people out there that have always felt like, there's always something, and we're going to go back to the old normal, and nothing will ever really happen to change things in a way that matters. Well, yeah, things are changing, and they're never going back to the old normal. I'll just share that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, a lot of things have already changed, and very quietly they snuck bugs in our food, and very quietly, they're changing things into carbon tax, and very quietly they're making sure that they have like a central banking system of some kind. They definitely don't want to act. From what I see, they don't want to act too sudden, because a big sudden jolt would wake up the masses. If the masses wake up, they're not going to have any support. So they make sure they're doing it very slow. So all of those things are done. We're not going to go back to what it used to be, which is so sad, because a lot of people were like really happy in the 80s and 90s. It was a lot of fun, early 2000s. But now this is 2020. Things are not fun.
Well, I grew up really in the late 70s and early 80s. And I can remember my mother saying, she thought that she had it better, even though she grew up in World War II. She still thought the world was a lot better place then. So it's all relative to what we're going through and perhaps where we are. Because World War II in Poland, for instance, or France, or Russia, or Germany, that's not a place you would really, really choose to be unless you're looking for some intense spiritual growth and challenges.
Mm-hmm. Well, the way I see it as your mom saying that, probably because there was actual connection with other people. So she could see hands-on in her heart and feel it with her whole being, people being good to other people. And we're so disconnected right now. We are just so disconnected. So anything that's going to reconnect us, I think, even if it doesn't feel so great, I feel it's going to be beneficial for our souls and our children.
Yeah, that's true. Strangers made little talk. People were more polite. People actually took time out, and they weren't constantly just staring at their smartphones, etc. But hey, we might find ourselves going back to that time if we're going to be out of the system. Russian security services, FSB, has reported that they foiled an upcoming terror attack in the south of the country. They arrested 3 men from a Central Asian country. They allege the men planned to set off explosion in a public place near Stavropol. So they claim they found improvised explosive devices and chemical substances at the residence. Yes, the plot is thickening. Oh boy, is the plot going to thicken in April. Thank you, Modern Refugee. Modern Refugee is one of our Patreons, and that's a pretty simple name to search on YouTube. He does have a prepping channel, and I would love to recommend it because he is a good guy, and he's putting out good information, and he's a solid part of our family.
He's really awesome. You know, he has extremely practical information for people who are just starting out or, you know, don't know which way to turn. So we listened to him for a little bit. And yeah, please go over there for this time. If you're just getting started, he can really give you a good direction.
Yes, absolutely. So there was, and he's the one that pointed this out, another cargo ship incident. There was an accident in the St. Mary's River near Sulax. Tug and boats nearby on site. So as of late Thursday night, the American Mariner was safely anchored. Efforts continued on Friday to remove the vessel from the waterway. On Friday afternoon, the USCG, United States Coast Guard, of which so many are not in the United States at the moment, posted via X, inspections are still underway on the American Mariner with no reported pollution. Once it's determined that the vessel can be safely moved, the channel will be reopened. So it was closed down. The channel was closed down. Think about what we just saw with the bridge. The bridge, by the way. 2 of the fastest U.S. sealift ships trapped by Baltimore Bridge collapse. So they're trapped inside. They might not get out for years. What are these vessels? Well, these are 2 of the most capable military cargo ships in the U.S. inventory. You might need those when we're invaded. Yeah, which won't be long. Wow. Multiple reasons why they targeted that bridge. You know, and I said to Cindy, and we had a full day with clientele. Again, you know, our main work is doing energy work, as we are both energy healers, and Cindy uses her gifts to do a variety of things, from Vedic astrology charts to contacting your guides, also even loved ones that have passed on, as she is an extremely unique, gifted person, and I'm so blessed to have her with me. I wouldn't trade her for anything. I wouldn't trade her for anything in this world at all. And we were having conversations with regulars and, you know, people that we're very close to and feel very warmly about, as so many of our regulars we've had for such a long period of time. And I gotta say, you know, I've never even seen things this clearly as they look to be at this point in time. So we could always be wrong. Anybody could always be wrong, and you might be looking at things from a certain angle, and maybe, you know, need to take a look at something from a different angle. But I really, really do feel that this is the crunch time that I've known is coming my entire life, or at least since high school. Honestly, we're in the thick of it. April is going to be a month that is just going to be loaded with events, and then May it accelerates, and it accelerates maybe in a little different direction. I think we're going to see the big quakes that we've been waiting to see and heard of that are coming in the time period between now and before we get to summer. Now, it could be wrong. It could be off, but I still think it's definitely 2024. And at the same time, there's so much that looks to be pointing to this April to basically spring. Like spring is going to be when everything really goes to a completely different level. And this summer is going to be a summer like we've never seen. And so again, we're just trying to pack as much preps into our time as possible while still doing these videos and still trying to get out 2 videos a day as much as we possibly can. Even though we're way behind schedule ourselves for the prepping. And yeah, you can never prep too much in my book.
Mm-mm. No, I mean, our calling is to keep an eye on this, and this is what we are doing. And when you're kind of watching something happen and you're not sure which direction it's going, well, you take a look at all the potentials out there, all the different arrows, and when one arrow after the next continues to point towards this thing that you've been watching for, that's a good indicator that it's not too far behind. So yeah, that's what we do. This is our calling. And it's not like other people need to live in that, but this is it's a pull, it's a call, it's a magnetic thing where we need to do it, and other people understand it. They feel a need to say, hey, watch out. And everyone's at a little bit different level there. But here we are, and here this is, and a lot of stuff is lining up.
Yes, absolutely. It's not our intention to have the perfect channel, the biggest channel, the best channel, the biggest money-making channel. No, our purpose is just a message. So, again, we're not trying to deliver the news in the most professional possible manner. We're just sharing who we are and just trying to let people who are awakening in the spiritual world of things see what's happening around them, perhaps in a light that they haven't noticed before something actually bites them in the butt, which is absolutely on the way. So four ships total are stuck in there. 2 of them are 2 of the very best we have at again, support for wartime. Oh my gosh. Yeah, of course. This is so obvious. Meanwhile, you have Israel, their biggest ever airstrike on Iranian IRGC and Hezbollah forces, they say, in Aleppo. 88 at least lost, hundreds wounded, major strikes. Can you see how the Islamic world's going to unite? Oh, yeah, they are. Meanwhile, can you see the famine that's building? Sudan slips into famine as warring sides starve civilians. Again, this world is all about creating more and more weapons so there could be more and more chaos, death, destruction, and loosh, because the political system is truly run by demons when you get down to it. Yes, there are definitely demonic entities, and they are in charge of all major positions on this planet and in this system. If we really wanted to have change, they could just simply take 1 year to stop spending so much money on war and spending on supporting people. We'll keep paying the taxes, et cetera, just promise you're not going to spend a dime on warfare, and let's see what we could get done. I think it would cause such positivity, and everything would change in a heartbeat, and then the demons wouldn't do the bidding of the ones that are calling on them, because there would be no pain and suffering that they feed off of, and then the whole system would collapse. So the Eastern Democratic Republic of the Congo is at the breaking point as security and humanitarian crisis worsens as well. This is a deteriorating situation. Again, it's the same situations going on pretty much in Sudan. Look at the migrant waves. There's a reason why people are desperately leaving where they are. It's because it's horrible and their lives are miserable. And they're being promised all these, they're being promised everything. Obviously, prepaid cards, nice apartments, you name it, jobs. They're being promised everything. Meanwhile, the same system is making them miserable, so they'll get up and they'll go off and end up causing, all sorts of havoc, adding to the havoc and the stress of the situation. Because ultimately, the system wants us to just take care of us in a negative way. They want us to bring about those numbers that were in Georgia on a certain guidestone. Meanwhile, CDC alerts doctors to watch for a rare, serious bacterial infection. It's appearing, we got bird flu appearing in Texas. We got dengue fever. We got, what am I missing? Malaria. We have all sorts of things. We have all sorts of funguses from people that don't have functioning immune systems because they've made bad decisions. And we have meningitis as well. And it just goes on and on and on. Well, actually, Nostradamus, again, he was in the system. He talks all about the World War III happening at the same time as a global revolution where people are trying to overthrow the governments that are sending them off to war. At the same time, there's all sorts of pestilences lined up. Pestilence and plagues, and ultimately famine. And he does say famine's so bad that it's undescribable. And you could see how all this is coming about at this point in time. The Polish border, illegal migrants over in Belarus continue to attack Polish border guards and soldiers every day with rocks and sticks, tree branches. This is a global situation. The main target's getting rid of NATO and the U.S. because, again, China doesn't have 400 million armed citizens, and yet they already have maybe 10% of the U.S. number of U.S. citizens in the country. They have about 10% of the illegals, or the U.S. population, I should say. So 30 to 40 million illegals are in the country right now. And then you have, China, Russia, North Korea, Iran, maybe half a dozen to a dozen African and Latin American countries as well that will join in this war on the U.S. and NATO. As you're looking at, a Texas woman showed her house after a squatter invasion. They are moving into people's houses all over the place. If you have an empty house somewhere, kind of anywhere at this point in time in a NATO country, just be aware it might not be as empty as you think it is.
No, I mean, this is terrible. She went somewhere to take care of her mother, and she can't even have what's hers. And I do think that this is going to be getting a little bit worse too, but they always have multi-layers, multi-levels of things going on. So they definitely want to discourage people from owning houses, let alone extra houses. They don't want people to have any leg up in this 3D world because they want to isolate it for themselves and make sure that everyone else is easily controlled. So, I mean, they just bring these on to make our lives difficult. But as long as we can look at it and make sure we're going in the right direction because we understand their intention, we'll be okay. It's just a lot of people don't take the time to slow down and look and see the bigger picture. But, unfortunately, things are getting crazy enough that more and more people are stopping to understand.
And Nice is one of the places that Nostradamus mentioned. He mentioned it being burnt to the ground by basically, what he said was people coming in over the borders, hiding weapons under their robes, and basically forerunners of a actual military that's coming. They're here to cause havoc and to cause chaos behind the front lines. So that's exactly what's going on. As you see, mass sprawls across the city of Nice in France happened throughout the week. And again, with the plague upon the land, now you have so many people that will still wear facial coverings, so you don't know who they are. And some of them are walking around the streets. This is brutal, just to warn you. I'll put the link there, but there's definitely the end of somebody in the 3D in that particular video, attacked by a swarm of people. And meanwhile, as you see, the migrants walking around heavily armed, all sorts of different armaments, from knives and things to perhaps AK-47s and the like as well. This is fixing to go hot, as they say. A very great famine caused by pestilence will extend its length to the Arctic Pole. This is that interesting Samarobrin, 100 leagues from the hemisphere. They will live without law, free from government. This is the one I was mentioning in the earlier video today. Well, Cindy was remote viewing this word, and it was really interesting what she was picking up on.
Well, I was looking at it and, without looking at any external context, just looking at what the word is. And I saw a very large, a very cylindrical type of entity that was like out, in the cosmos. And I determined that I was looking right at a mothership. So that's what I got out of it.
Yeah, the mothership is what she's picking up on this. Some sort of mothership that's in some sort of orbit up in the sky. Interesting, because Sumerobren, the other thing she was picking up was that Sumerian, that type of sound, and I think it's connecting us again to the control system, Anunnaki, etc. Live without law, free from government. Yeah, because they're pulling the strings from afar, and yet there is going to be technology. Very big time technology that is going to be utilized, which we haven't seen so far in our past. So this was really, really interesting. And when I searched it, I found this. Now, again, they hide things in the movies. They hide things in the comics. Marvel. They hide things in like X-Men and et cetera, Iron Man and all that. Sumerobrim was the Earth's first weather monitoring space station located in orbit of Earth. And so after Cindy told me, and then I found this, I was like, okay, you're on the right track here. It was able to monitor any weather activity on Earth and was built as part of the U.S. Weather Service Project Earthwatch. So it's interesting, and then it even touches on Nostradamus. But it's fascinating, again, the comics and things, just like whether we're talking about, Bart Simpson, The Simpsons. How many times have they had things right? Well, there's reasons, because it's all part of the program. It's part of the programming. And by the way, 100 leagues is 345 miles. I thought that was curious too. Because navigation satellites, HAMSATs, they're between 100 and 300 miles. So this would be just past that for the most part. Space shuttles, 400 miles. So in the range, just past the navigational satellites, etc., and just within the range of where space shuttles would go, and just past where the International Space Station is. Interesting. Mavis will then soon die, and then will come of people and beasts a horrible rout. So then suddenly one will see vengeance, 100 hand thirst, hunger when the comet will run. We were talking about that. In reference to Mahmoud Abbas, who just appointed a longtime advisor as prime minister. And again, he was the Palestinian, Authority president. And he's 88, so he doesn't have too much longer probably to live. The one thing that was missing was the U, Mahmoud Abbas, and just taking the first initial M, Abbas, Mavis. But then I noticed, and I don't know why I never noticed it before, he's also known as Abu, Mazen. Abu, A-B-U, M-A-B-U, A-S. Yeah, I feel pretty much that this is probably your Mavis. It fits everything, and right now with all the conditions going on, he just named, a new authority. What if he gets assassinated sometime in April, or April to maybe the first week of June? That feels likely. It definitely feels likely. And it was interesting too, because one of his chief rivals has Serbian citizenship, and Alois Ermiler said that he saw 3 assassinations, and one of them occurred in the Balkans. So I was trying to find his traveling itinerary just to see if he's making any trips to any of the Balkan countries. because he also said it looked like it was migrants from Africa that ended up doing the assassination. And of course, we just saw the shooting in Russia. And some people will do anything for a few dollars. It's horrible to say, but it is the reality.
You know, I mean, looking at this guy and looking at the words that Nostradamus uses, that Mabus then will soon die. I'm looking at that, and it doesn't say for sure that he does die, but if you look at his age, I mean, he's pretty old, so soon he could die. So I don't know, you know, we're at that point where you point out enough things and you have enough arrows going to, yeah, this is what this is.
Vengeance.
Yeah.
And I think that 100 hands, there's 179 countries in this world that I know of. So, you know, I wonder how many would be in on this. I don't think 100 countries necessarily are going to take part in the big war on the side of BRICS, but I just think it's interesting. This is just, if you have any doubt as to the satanic nature of Hollywood, you know, how could you doubt this? Look at this. This is Madonna's, of course. Madonna, right? Yeah, nothing which surprise you. Now, Dallas comes right under the eclipse. Dallas would be a huge target. Anywhere in Texas would be, but especially Dallas, because this is where the eclipse goes right over. So there's like this ritual going on, and just because it's her voice and it might be copyrighted or something, I won't play it, but the words are going to appear in front. As you see, she's just kind of there, got a little mask on, watching the fire, watching the people coming out in red robes. It's just like you're watching, what was that horrible Tom Cruise movie? You know, with the rituals and stuff. And the words are saying in the background, these are the only people who love you. You see somebody in a medical outfit is carrying somebody that, I don't know. I mean, it could be somebody that's dressed like in a Middle Eastern garb, maybe, or I don't know what they're trying to get across. But I think they're also indicating another plague, pestilence, series of pestilence. The fires are burning. Fires of what? War? Funeral pyre? I don't know, right? But at the same time, there's definitely a meaning to this. Blessed to see you read about the words of the prophecy. This is Madonna that's speaking this too. And blessed are those who hear and to keep what is written thereof. For that time is near. He's coming with the clouds. And every eye will see him. Everyone who pierced him. And all the charms of the earth will wail on account of him. Those of you who have not learned what some called the deep things of Satan, I know your works, I know your toil and your patience. And that's the end of that this one's covering. You know, are they trying to give us the idea of the second coming? Well, the reality is, again, all that. And I know this is what makes us unpopular in some people's minds. It is coming from the system. The entirety of the blood sacrifice for original sin. When you think about what they're doing, you know, and one of our dear friends was saying, so which prophecies are real? Well, again, the prophecies, the way we look at them is when we're getting them from Nostradamus, when we're getting them from the Bible, we're getting them from the control system. And yeah, of course, there are those that believe these prophecies are coming from the creator of the universe. But in our understanding, in our minds, in our hearts, we know they're not coming from the creator of this universe. No way at all are they coming from the creator of this universe. Quite the opposite. the creator of the dark matrix that we find ourselves under. That is where these are coming from. And these are nothing more than just telling us their plans, which they've already seeded into the consciousness of 2/3 of the planet. Again, 63, 64% of the planet, it follows either Christianity, Islam, or Judaism. So the majority of the planet follows one of the Abrahamic traditions, or at least has been brought up into it, and has the expectations that are given to them from it. And this is how the system works.
And these are things that a lot of people who are there, I don't think they understand things to that deep, deep level. They're there for entertainment, and they just think it's like really cool stuff. And it looks really unique, and it's somehow touching a chord inside of them. They don't know they're taking part in a very big, big ritual. She had to have planned this well in advance, knowing that the X marks the spot is coming and this is where she's doing this ritual at. It just really gives me the heebie-jeebies because I understand it. You guys understand it. But does everyone else understand it? And even if there's not some big major thing that happens in this spot, it's still creepy because we know what kind of ritual it is. It's just wrong.
And we do know who's coming back. Ultimately it's the Anunnaki. They're the ones coming back. And, this is part of getting those ready for, the second coming of the Anunnaki. And it's going to be interesting to see what percentage of the world will embrace them. Probably a majority, unfortunately. But that's really what we're trying to do, is to wake people up to the reality of the system and what they have prepared for people after the war, after the chaos, because that's the next big thing, is getting humanity ready to meet their quote unquote makers, unquote.
Indeed.
But they're not our makers. And again, source, the real creative force of the universe, is in every one of us. We don't need any dogma. And anybody that has any sort of spiritual insight would know that. But it's the conditioning that blinds them. Much love, source bless. Namaste.
Namaste.